Greetings! In this video, we're going to be talking about how you can get an internship in high school or even in college. I feel like this kind of advice might apply. This entire video is going to be a complete guide to what you have to do in order to get an internship. We're going to be discussing, number one, the value of an internship in high school or in college, how it could help you. Number two, where do you actually look for an internship? Number three, some of the preparation work you should do before applying. Number four, cold mailing, because I know that's a huge topic. Everyone wants to learn about how do you cold mail, what makes an effective cold mail. Also, I'm going to be linking a spreadsheet down below for anybody who has a student organization, a company, a startup who is hiring. I want this community to also be a place where students can try and find internships. So I'm going to be linking the spreadsheet down below. It's going to be public. You can enter your name, your personal details, the name of your company, the position you're hiring for, and a link to an application portal that you might have. And hopefully some of you subscribers can get an internship through this YouTube channel, which would be a dream come true for me. So let's get into the video. I hope you find this helpful. If you're new over here, please hit the subscribe and the like button. It'd be super helpful for a small and up and coming creator like me. Someone needs to tie up my hands. What are those hand gestures? I think there are three things to look at whenever you're going for an internship. And there are three things that people take away if you have taken an internship or there's an internship on your college application. Number one is academic purpose. And I think this has two parts. Number one is academic depth and the other is academic exploration. And both of them vary depending on what grade you're in high school. So for example, in 9th grade, if you're taking an internship, the goal necessarily isn't academic depth. It's more of academic exploration. You're looking for an application-based learning in a field that you might not have tried before. For example, if you're really interested in healthcare and medicine, shadowing a doctor in a private hospital could be a really cool opportunity for you to understand the day in the life of a healthcare professional in whatever city you're based in. So that's a very in-depth experience. Whereas if you're interested in something like academic exploration, you're not really sure what you want, jumping from firm to firm and spending a short amount of time in each of those places can give you a really good idea of what a variety of industries looks like. The second thing it shows is initiative. It shows the fact that you're willing to go beyond the classroom and really look for experiences that can give you a much broader understanding of what a field is actually like. It shows that you have taken it upon yourself to go and do something. And colleges always like to see that sense of initiative, that sense of drive in any student. Number three is the opportunity for professional mentorship. Just like I said in my summer programs video, if you're doing an internship, you are going to be cultivating relationships. You might be able to find yourself a professional mentor. For example, if you're really interested in the field of digital marketing, going to a startup, working with a digital marketer over there, that individual could possibly take you under their wing and teach you the ropes. And again, they also might be able to write you a letter of recommendation. So professional mentorship is a huge bonus whenever you go for an internship, because that can really take you a long way in terms of teaching you both the hard and the soft skills of what it takes to be in that profession. Now, where do you actually apply for your internship? Before we talk about where to apply for an internship, I think it's very important to find your who. Who is it that you want to intern with? Where is it that you actually want to intern? That is so much more important than the medium or the channel through which you try to get your internship. So I would encourage you to create a Google Sheets and really try to list down 15 to 20 companies in their particular sectors that you would really want to work with. For example, if you're really interested in startups, you could intern at a place like FamPay. If you're really interested in working in the edtech space, maybe Khan Academy would be a great place for you to try and get an internship. Now, putting aside how hard it is to actually get those internships, it's very important to just have a vision. Whether that vision is your industry or it's your company, or even if it's something as simple as the skill that you want to have that internship in, like digital marketing or sales and distribution. Having that vision is really important before you enter the internship process. Now, where do you actually find these internships? There are three main buckets that I look at. Number one is a platform like LinkedIn, where professionals come and try to create networks. Everybody talks about LinkedIn a lot, so I'm not going to go too much in depth with it, but it's very important for you to remember that today your online resume is your LinkedIn platform. So if anybody is looking to hire a job, even when I was looking for interns, I asked people to put the link of their LinkedIn profile. Number two are internship-based platforms like AngelList or Internshala. Now, I have heard tons of positive things about platforms like AngelList, honest. But when it comes to Internshala specifically, I wouldn't recommend you go for it. A lot of scams get conducted on the platform. And also when I wanted to give an internship for sleep deprived dreamers, I chose not to do it on Internshala because the people over there just give really low prices for the work that they're asking to do. They're going to pay you a sum of 5,000 rupees per month, which is lesser than $100 per month. So it is a very exploitative environment in my opinion. And then the third place you find internships is what I like to call an innate advantage or an unfair advantage. Now, this is a concept that's been brought up in the book, Unfair Advantages, but it's basically assessing the edge that you might be able to have. And when it comes to internships, that edge is your personal network. So whether it's your friends' parents or your own parents' colleagues, or even if it's your schools, a lot of schools have really interesting internship programs that they do give to their students. Even my school gave about 5 to 6 different internships in different fields. That is an advantage you have because of where you grew up, because of who your parents are, because of what school you go to. And if you have that advantage, you should make the most of it. It's pointless to have a personal network that's far and wide without really trying to capitalize on it. And if you don't have that personal network, well then keep watching, because I'm going to be going into the next segment now, which is how do you cold mail effectively? Or in other words, if you don't know somebody, you don't know a company, how is it that you get in touch with them? When it comes to cold mailing, there are 4 key things that I'm going to be talking about. Number 1 is the idea of the numbers game. Number 2 is a phenomenon I like to call lock and key. Number 3 is heating the touch. And number 4 is just tips and tricks that I think you should keep in mind whenever you're applying for any internship. Number 1, the numbers game. It's very important for you not to look at applying for an internship as a numbers game. It's very unhelpful to say, oh, if there are 100 internships and I apply for 100 of them, I'm possibly going to get one. That's a very mechanical approach to the internship, and I can guarantee your success rate is not going to be as high because chances are you're not going to be personalizing the application or the mail you're sending to this individual just because you're sending that same mail to 50 other people. It is not a numbers game. It is a game of authenticity. It is a game where you're really trying to get people to invest in you as a person. Because one thing that a lot of people don't realize when they're applying for internships in high school is that you're under the legal age. So, and this also happened with me as well, a lot of times companies are going to be involving you in work or in projects that haven't been made public yet. In those cases, you usually get individuals or adults to sign a non-disclosure agreement. But if you're a minor, the amount of legal complications that come with that is just too much. So in most cases, companies aren't looking for high school students to be working with them, which is why you need to be as authentic as you can. You need to be as personalized as you can so that someone really takes a chance and decides to invest in you. So how do you do that? That brings me to lock and key. I think that whenever you're applying for an internship, it has to be a mixture of 2 things. These are 4 things. It's a mixture of 2 things. Number 1 is the lock. What can you offer them? No, wait, that's the key. Number 1 is the key. What can you offer them? Number 2 is the lock. What can they offer you? And think of it in a very similar way to the US college application process. A lot of the times you're going to be writing essays like the Why Us essay, which is writing why you'd be a great fit for the college and why college would be a great fit for you. Internships work the exact same way. You have to do a very realistic evaluation of your skill sets and your experiences whenever you're sending a cold mail to someone. That's the key. And with the lock, you also need to be honest about what that organization can offer to you. What value can it provide to you? And you should include that in your mail as well. Now, who is that someone going to be? In most cases, I think you should be reaching out to the HR manager because they are the individual who takes a decision on these matters. But also, if you're applying to a startup or an organization that's smaller than, your typical huge organizations, reaching out to the founder is an effective method that you can take because you're establishing a line of communication directly with the person at the top of the food chain. Now, personally, I don't like the word cold mail or the words cold mail. It's too. That's only because it's cold, right? It's something that does not feel nice to touch. It is not something that you're familiar with. And everybody knows that when you want someone to invest in you, the more familiar you get with that person, the more you know that person, the more likely you are to take a chance on them for the internship. So this section is going to be all about heating the touch. How do you make someone more likely to take a chance on you? And these are things that I've learned over a period of time applying for internships that have worked out for me. Number 1, touch basing with them on multiple occasions so that they're more prone to recognize your name. Let me give you an analogy for this. Let's say someone wants to reach out to me. Let's say that they comment down in my YouTube channel and they've been commenting on my YouTube channel for a period of 5 months. When I see their mail in my inbox or when I see them asking for a particular favor, I'm much more likely to recognize them. They've almost familiarized themselves with me and I've become familiar with them. So I'm much more likely to engage in a conversation with them. Similarly, if you're talking about a company, interacting with the company's socials, interacting with the founder's socials, dropping a comment on a founder's new launch day, all of those things are ways by which you can prime someone so that when they do come across your mail, your request, they're much more likely to take a chance on you. The second thing you can also do is an effective psychological technique that people call the foot in the door effect. Now, this is something that works for some people, doesn't work for all people. It basically means that you can get a foot in the door by making a small request. Again, I'll give you an example. If someone wants to DM me, I'm much more likely to accept DMs whose questions I feel like can be replied to with a short answer and an answer I have. That is the way that this person gets a foot in the door, because now they've gone from my requests in my DMs to my general DMs, which means I can get DMs from them more often. So like that, they've got a foot in the door, and now we can start building a relationship, and over a period of time, they might be able to ask me bigger questions, they might be able to ask me for requests. If they led with that request, the chance of me accepting it was probably a lot lower. The third thing that you should do is something I like to call throwing them a rope. It's establishing a mutual connection with them that makes them feel like they can understand you, or a part of your background that makes them connected to you. It makes them feel like there's some form of attachment between the two of you. Take this as an example. The reason a lot of people say that Stanford is a great university is because of the people, right? And it's because when you graduate, you're being surrounded by an alumni network. How does that alumni network actually help you? When you want a favor, you can say, oh, I am a freshman studying at Stanford University, and that is an act of throwing a rope. That act shows them that, oh, there's this common thing between the two of you. So for example, if you grew up in the same hometown as someone, chances of that are very small, obviously, but it makes someone feel closer to your application in specific. The fourth thing that you can do that I find particularly helpful is humor. If you're just a light person, a funny person to talk to, and you show that you don't take yourself too seriously while obviously still being respectful of the other person, people are much more likely to treat your mail with a little more attention and engagement than other mails. So it's another way you can warm up this cold mail that you're sending them. And then the last thing that you can do that I find particularly helpful as well is nudging someone outside of your application file. For example, when I sent my letter of continued interest to Stanford, in my loci, I put a link to a video that I'd created. It was a video of my graduation speech where I had actually mentioned Stanford as a university I was deferred from. That nudges someone outside of your application. It nudges someone out of the text that you've written into the real world, into an instance where they can get a better glimpse of you. So for example, if you're applying for a videography position, showing them your work, showing them your videos is a huge bonus, because they're much more likely to get a better idea of who you are as a person, your values, your insights, your experiences, your skill level, obviously, than what they would be able to get if they were just reading the essay answers that you've written in an application process. The last thing I want to talk about in cold mailing is just 3 tips that I think you should keep in mind whenever you're sending a cold mail to someone. I think these work a majority of the time. Number 1 is acknowledging the fact that this person is probably short on time. It is so nice and so refreshing to see a mail where the first line is, I know you're probably short on time, but this. It shows that someone is considerate of your position as a founder of a company, an HR manager of a company, and makes you more likely to like them. The second thing is brevity, or being short and concise. Like I said, these people probably don't have a lot of time. So in your internship application, although it should be personalized, although it should have a decent level of detail, do keep your request short and crisp. The person should know what you're asking for within the first 2 to 3 lines of your email. Otherwise, they're not going to feel invested enough to read the entire thing. They're not going to stick around till the end. It's like if I filmed this entire video and I only told you how to apply for an internship in the last minute. You're not going to watch like 15 minutes of complete jargon and rubbish only to reach the value in the very end. Lead with the value and then keep reinforcing that value and make sure that they're hooked throughout the entire mail that you're sending them. So those are the 3 things that I think you should do. You should be crisp in your mail, you should acknowledge that paucity of time, and you should also be extremely specific in your request and make sure that it's in the first few lines or maybe first paragraph of your email. So that was everything I have on applying for an internship to high schools. I hope this video helped you a lot, and I will see you in the next week. Bye.